Is there a balanced team for Helldivers? Well, yes and no. See, an official statement from one of the Helldiver staff said that. So I said this to try and clear up some misinformation, because people don't really have any idea how things actually work behind the scenes, and that leads to bad assumptions and making things up into misinformation that gets spread around until people think it's fact, such as the balanced team, when this isn't a thing. There isn't a team whose sole responsibility is to do the balancing for the game. We have game designers and directors, people who do these sorts of things, but there isn't a balanced team. We have game designers and directors who do these sorts of things, but there isn't a balanced team. The actual changing of weapons is done by the people who make the weapons. Decisions about what should be changed, when, and in what way is a team effort between design and directors. I wanted to clarify that there's no balanced team, and it's all just a team effort between several people and roles, because balanced team has led to some pretty unfair assumptions to be made. It's because of that people have been saying things like Alexis is the one balanced dev, so he's responsible for all that changes you don't like. And this has never been the case, and he has far less to do with the balanced decisions than people assume. No dev gets to just change whatever they want without oversight or discussion, and the person who made this thing might not necessarily have their final say in if it should be changed. It's all a team effort. So, there isn't a balanced team, but the balanced team is the people who are directing the game and people who design what weapons are added to the game. And through player feedback and community outpour, these things can be changed by the directors, developers, and the designers originally of how the weapon should be changed and adjusted, and how its stats could realistically be changed and adapted with minor tweaks to damage buffs and everything. So, to answer the question, there is a balanced team, but it's not in the way that you think. The team is the balanced team. Everyone who works on it gets to have an input on it, and some inputs are more valuable than others. But there is balance in Helldivers 2, whether it's absent currently, or whether it's incoming, or whether it's not coming at all. So to think that Arrowhead doesn't balance their game would be a reasonably fair assumption, but also wouldn't be justified. Because there's no set team that decides everything. There's no set person that tells everyone, this is what this is now. Because it's all an effort by the entire studio and people who are designing it. Whether it's people who are outsourced to do the weaponry for a specific war bond, whether it's the people who, inside of Arrowhead, are developing things for themselves, whether it's a DLC from another game. A lot of the choice is centered around a group of people, or at least a team, to correctly and unanimously decide what would be fair for the game at the time, and if there needs to be changes done, then they'll all decide on what the proper changes should be. And frankly, I like this idea, because if the whole team plays differently, then there's an equal chance that something will not be overpowered, and that everything will remain somewhat equal, rather than trying to be overly this meta, or that meta, or this faction, or that faction, or this weapon, or this weapon. Instead, it's through the opinions of a team who all plays differently on different factions with different loadouts with different strategies. Which is kind of like a mini community, but I can also see flaws in it. If the whole team plays on a specific faction or prefers one faction over the other one, then that's not going to really account for the other ones except through playtesting. And when it gets to playtesting, the default values for the guns might not align with what the dev team thought would be good and what the playtesters think is feasible. So then the dev team goes back and fixes it, then it ends up not working for the playtesting, and so they got to work through all of it again. So I feel like a good way to balance all the guns is to honestly make a new type of place that Helldivers can go to where they can test upcoming weapons, new stratagems, new armors, or put in targets that have the same health as upcoming enemies, so you can test if the health of the enemies is fair enough for a feasible kill with the new weapons and stratagems that are coming. Kind of like the tutorial training area in Helldivers 2 currently, but just more open with disguised new weapons and stuff. So it's not directly leaked, but there's just community testing. And then in that, you can submit feedback on stuff to an NPC or send it in the Discord or something to a specific channel. And that'll be a more direct way for the community to have an input on what weapons are coming in and on what the community think would be good for the game, so the community can also build hype towards what's upcoming. And so Helldivers can bring more attention to it and be more balanced based on what the community thinks, because at the end of the day, the community is going to be playing the game. And if the community doesn't like what's upcoming, then they're not going to use it, and then there's no point. But if you guys have a different idea, feel free to share it in the comments below. This is a safe space for everyone. Thank you very much for watching, Make sure to like and subscribe to the 99.1% of people that aren't subscribed, and I'll see you all in the next video.